Welcome to the GRN, the Growth and Resilience Network, and the latest episode on our podcast channel. Hi, I'm Steve Piscitelli, your host, coming to you from my headquarters, my world headquarters here at Atlantic Beach, Florida. Today, we're mobile, about a mile inland on the island, about a mile from the studio, and let me set the stage for you. A little bit with synchronicity. My most recent book, Community is a Safe Place to Land, has 7 transformational stories that highlight 7 core values for community. Now, while I was recording a podcast for the first story of the book, my guest told me about Koinonia Farm outside of Americus, Georgia. And it was there that the idea of partnership housing took root. That led, as I understand the story, to the founding of the Habitat for Humanity International in 1976. Then Jimmy Carter and his wife dedicated themselves to the mission. Now, fast forward to June of 2019, and on a visit to Washington, D.C., I came across a sidewalk plaque that had an inscription attributed to Millard Fuller, the founder, along with his wife, of the Habitat for Humanity International. And the inscription said, and here's the quote, "We have the know-how in the world to house everyone. We have the resources in the world to house everyone. All that's missing is the will to do it." End of quote. Well, in 1991, an affiliate program broke ground here in Atlantic Beach with that will to provide that housing, and that is Beach's Habitat. And today I'm sitting in those offices, and we're going to take a deeper dive and still really only scratch the surface as to the importance of homeownership in a community. Besides, say, investment for the homeowner, why should a community concern itself with the homeowners and homeownership? And so today we are fortunate to be in the offices of Beach's Habitat with Curtis Ford, President and CEO, and Marianne Christensen, the Development Director. So, Curtis, Marianne, thanks for allowing me on your home turf here.
Welcome.
Okay. Whoa, that was good. Coordinated. So let's just, we'll start with briefly, why does Atlantic Beach need Beach's Habitat?
Well, it's really important, Steve, that we provide simple, decent, and affordable housing for families that qualify, families in need, and that's illustrated day in and day out, the need for this program here in Atlantic Beach and throughout the beaches. We recently completed Ocean Gate, which is 70 homes at the beginning of Mayport Road corridor. And we're very proud of that new neighborhood. We have 70 families that are extremely invested. One element of our program that really ensures that investment is what we call the sweat equity component. And that is when families are required, the homeowners are required to partner with us and actually help build the homes, at least 300 hours worth of sweat equity. And if for some reason, due to a physical disability, they cannot do that, they are required to do it in another fashion so that they are invested in the program regardless. And that makes a big difference in homeownership.
Is that 300 hours on their home?
It can be on any of the homes.
Any of the homes.
A lot of the times it is mostly on their homes, but it certainly doesn't exclude the other homes if they're more available at the time they're volunteering.
Gotcha. Curtis, you want to add anything to that?
Let me just say this. Beach's Habitat for Humanity homeowners are people really that just need a little help to stand on their own. And give you some numbers on this. Most work full-time in occupations, orderlies, nursing assistants, cashiers. Annual mean wage of $24,000 for an orderly, $24,930 for a nursing assistant, $20,200 for a cashier. And Steve, to put that into perspective, to afford a one-bedroom home in Jacksonville, a family needs a minimum annual income of $31,640.
And that's in Jacksonville. Would that be different for the beaches area?
That is correct.
Yeah.
Yes. It's the cost of housing has gone up so significantly at the beaches. Affordability is almost an extinct term.
So let's unpack that a little further. How does one become eligible? Is it just a financial income means test, is there something else involved? Are there other things involved?
We have several steps for the criteria. We have a family selection committee. So when a person is seeking home ownership through us, they have to follow several steps. So the application process begins, and they are screened very, very well. This committee does an interview. They make sure they meet the criteria in terms of finances. So there are several steps that are taken, and it's a several-month process. So we have these wonderful volunteers that provide this service for us and work in conjunction with our family services director, who's Joyce Freeman. So when a person begins the process, it's something that takes a long time to complete, because then we know that that is the right fit for this person and the program. And that's why we can really say that we have very few people that enter into the home ownership process with us that don't stick with it, because they've gone through several steps to get there. And that's really important. So that really is a big difference in terms of guaranteeing their success.
So it sounds even like the selection process is part of the investment process. There's an investment of time. Now, that selection committee, do you have Beaches Habitat homeowners on that selection committee?
No, it's really
community,
right,
or organizers or donors or investors or to the like, and we'll get to that at some point about the investment and what the community does. Why do we have to invest into the home ownership? I mean, there are rents. Can't people go out and rent a?
So, Steve, you probably remember my background was many years in mortgage banking.
Right.
Affordable housing in the private sector was always important to me. And I guess the best way I can put it is the strength of a community really is directly related to the percentage of home ownership. And while we understand the need to provide affordable housing in the rental space, let's agree that not every person in America should own a home today, and I'll come back to that if you like. So there's a need for rental, but we're in the business at Habitat of providing home ownership, affordable home ownership. And so what I believe, and I believe Mary Ann would agree, is the higher incidence of home ownership in a community, that pride and that caring for the community shows through. If you ever attended a dedication, when we deliver a completed home to a family, we do a dedication. And if you attended one of these dedications, you would see the pride that these new homeowners have. Pretty much first-time home buyers, homeowners, never had an inkling in the past that they could own a home. And here they are moving into their first home with their family. And so then we see that in how they conduct themselves in that home in the time after they move in. And when you come back to a homeowner 2 or 3 or 5 years later, and the house looks nice, and they've taken care of the yard and kept up with the house, it's just a different community than having a high percentage of renters.
So take something like Ocean Gate right down the road here, which I drive by often, looks beautiful. How do you keep that beauty? How do you keep it up? Is there a homeowners association? Are there covenants?
So,
are they buying into more than just their little space?
No, that's a great question, and we are so proud of what we've accomplished and what our homeowners have accomplished at Ocean Gate. And to digress slightly, you mentioned the association. 2 months ago, we turned over control of the association for the 70-unit community known as Ocean Gate. So these are homeowners who have never owned a home before, and now they actually have to vote on and select the officers of their association and participate and raise questions, and occasionally have a tete-a-tete when they disagree with each other. And the learning that we've seen, the growth that we've seen with the homeowners in Ocean Gate as they've assumed control of their community and their lives, it's just incredible. So I call that part of the journey. So the journey is not just getting a roof over your head. It is so much more, and Ocean Gate is a prime example.
And it sounds like what you're doing is you're, as cliche as it might sound, you are helping to build a community within a community. Yes. These aren't just 70 isolated homes. These are 70 neighbors that have to live with one another, maybe disagree, maybe talk about the trash that's left out on one's yard, maybe talk about painting of one's home. And so those are some skills also that are important. At least that's what I'm hearing.
Absolutely. And we've taken an active role, even though we've conveyed the association to the unit owners. We've taken an active role as Habitat in the future guidance of that association. We also made some commitments to the City of Atlantic Beach in our project approval that we would stay involved. And so I share with you that the most active engagement I have in this post conveyance of the association is homeowners wanting to do things to their homes on the exterior that in some cases violate our covenants and restrictions. And so we're educating them on why, even though their particular window treatments might look really nice, we need to maintain a conformity that maintains the appearance and the value and the overall look of the community.
All right, and let's go this way for a moment at least. Let's say I'm one of the people that has a Beaches Habitat home. So I have the home. You've helped me get into the home. I have sweat equity in this home. I am doing what I need to do with the covenants and restrictions. What are my financial obligations? I mean, have you just given me a home?
No, absolutely not. And I'm going to let Mary Ann speak to this as well, but our homeowners, they are paying a mortgage. It's an affordable mortgage. We do offer our mortgages at 0 interest, and we'll see in future if that is always the same. But right now, all of our homeowners have a 0 interest mortgage, first mortgage. We often pair that with a second mortgage with favorable terms, sometimes forgiveness, and then occasionally a third mortgage that's a soft, silent third mortgage so that we can keep the house affordable. And I don't want to get sideways on all the detail of the mortgage finance, but these homeowners are invested financially in these homes, and they do make mortgage payments, including the escrows for their taxes and insurance.
I think when you and I spoke on the phone some time back, Curtis, you had said something to the effect, if you pay, you stay, you don't,
if you don't, you won't.
Yeah, and that's so accurate.
Yes, Steve, that's a harsh reality of living on the planet is when you take on a financial obligation, and our homeowners do, to own these homes, they have a responsibility to repay that debt. So this is in no way a handout. And I often, when I do occasionally meet with homeowners that are experiencing a problem with their income and the ability to pay on time, I do my best to help them figure out solutions and budget. But I also have to explain to them that your consistent repayment of your debt to Beaches Habitat allows for us to help another homeowner or another family realize the dream of homeownership. And when you fail to pay that debt, then you're reducing the ability of Beaches Habitat to help others.
Good point. And you had mentioned you didn't want to get sideways with a lot of details. There's a website you can go to, beacheshabitat.org. I'll put that up on the podcast. Mary Ann, do you want to add anything to that?
One thing I would think it's important for listeners to know, Steve, is that, as Curtis said, we are a hand up, not a handout, as Curtis had mentioned, but also we have things in place that make it so that a homeowner who's new can't go out and just flip the property and sell it. So they stay in the home at least 5 years. So that's really
part of the commitment.
Yes. So, and that's really important here at the beach because you realize equity so quickly in your new purchase. So we make sure that that doesn't happen. Another area that's important too is any kind of predatory lending where someone takes advantage of someone by tempting them with a sale, so then they realize quick money, but they could never again afford what they had because you add then the interest to the principal, and that really makes it impossible for them to afford that monthly payment.
There's a continual education process here. I mean, beyond, I'm learning that part. I mean, beyond just getting into the home and the equity and all that, then there's the 5 years, and then it sounds like somebody comes to me and got this great deal. you're still here educating me and my family financially, the financial realities.
We absolutely are, and this goes back to what I refer to as sustainable homeownership. And you heard from me earlier that not everyone should own a home. It's just a fact. It's a great idea. It's a lofty goal that everyone in America owns a home. But what we're about at Habitat is ensuring that when we select a family, because we're going through all of the finances, we're giving them a financial education, we're helping them with budgeting, and when we make that selection, it's a burden that we carry at Habitat, that we own it, that family still needs to be in that home 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and not a revolving door where we simply help them get into a home, they end up in financial trouble and don't retain that home ownership.
91 to 2019, how many homes?
We're in the 300 and something new home construction, but we've served over 400 families since we started in 1991. Some of that was renovation or rehab.
And curiosity question. So I know you don't want to get deep into it. We have the time either, but so you've got Beaches Habitat. Do you respond to a hierarchy like the International? I mean, are you like a franchise of the International?
We refer to ourselves as an affiliate, and we are part of the Florida chapter, if you will. So we have an oversight governing board at the state level, and then that reports up through national and then international.
Is there a waiting list?
Right now, there are always people contacting us, and we have people in the pipeline that are scheduled to have homes in Haywood Estates 2, which is our newest development that we're building. That will be 12 homes once it's completed, and that's adjacent to a neighborhood that we completed over 10 years ago called Haywood Estates. And so that neighborhood has 32 homes, and it's been in existence now well over a decade. So Haywood Estates 2, adjacent to that, which is right off of A1A. If you go on Mayport Road and then turn on A1A as if you're headed toward the ferry, it's at the beginning of A1A. So we will have 12 homes. We are also, and love to get the word out, so that do we have a waiting list? We're always ready to go with starting the application process, but we're needing more and more land as we go further into the future. So we are always looking to acquire more property out here at the beaches. Our service area, so the people that can qualify to be in a Beaches Habitat home have to either live or work for at least 1 year from St. John's Bluff Road east to the beaches. So that's our service area.
That's your area.
Habijax is under a different service area.
So you are a little bit across the intercoastal, a little west of that.
We are, and in fact, we're starting to look at that more closely. As you may be aware, all of our prior delivery has been here in the beaches community.
Yeah.
And we've had so much to do here that we have not worked in the West Beaches area, but we are looking at that now.
All right, so you need land. Okay. For someone, let's say like me, who doesn't have land to give, what can I give? What can people in the community give if they don't have land?
Time, treasure, talent. Any of those. Certainly, my job is dealing with fundraising. So we rely on support in many ways. That's through individuals, through corporations, through churches, faith-based organizations. The state of Florida has been generous with a community contribution tax credit program. So we are always seeking more and more support monetarily. And then, of course, most of the labor is volunteer labor under the supervision of our construction staff, a very excellent construction staff. So we have numerous volunteers that give of their time to help build these homes or serve on committees such as family selection or family support. And then, of course, talent. We rely so much on people who have expertise in home construction that want to help.
Yeah.
Having said that, though, a lot of our volunteers do not, and it's not required. So we welcome anyone who wants to go online and sign up and volunteer at our work site, that they have great help once they're on site with our construction staff who oversees and supervises them while they're there so they stay safe.
A lot of moving parts.
There are.
A lot of moving parts.
We're a home building company.
Yeah. When I remember when Ocean Gate was going up, and I drive by it going to the post office, and it was just like, wow, look at the activity, the people, the trucks. It was a small community right there.
Is.
All right, as we move it to a conclusion, with what you're doing here with Beaches Habitat, I'm going to start off with, what do you find to be the most challenging, and then what's the most satisfying?
Okay, I'll start off with most challenging is finding the land that we need to build on.
Okay.
And by the way, I want to take this opportunity to say that we are working on and designing our next project off Mayport Road. It's actually on the Jacksonville side of Mayport Road, so it's not City of Atlantic Beach. But that project should come online in the next 18 months to 2 years. So we continue to grow and develop and build homes, but it's going to become more and more challenging.
And then, of course, most satisfying is when you see the American dream realized of a family who's achieved home ownership. And I encourage everyone to be able to attend our dedication ceremonies, and we always put information on our website, beacheshabitat.org, to invite anyone to come and really experience, because it really is very heartwarming and very touching. People have worked very hard. They're very deserving. They care very much, and it really shows, especially on that day.
It's got to make the heart and the soul just feel so good to watch that, the culmination. All right, let's just finish with this then. Anything else you'd like to say or reiterate before we close it?
Yeah, Steve, you were talking to Mary Ann about our sources of funding, and of course, to recap, we've got donations. We certainly have quite a few grants that we work with every year, and we have volunteer in-kind donations. But my favorite, and it's coming up next month, is our annual fundraiser called Beach Bash. We're hosting it this year and have in the past at the Sawgrass Beach Club. That's on October 28th. For this year, and the Beach Bash is fun. It's really enlightening for those who have never attended and don't really understand the way Habitat works. But it's a lot of fun. It's this year. It's a Monday night.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Monday night.
That's a Monday.
It's a Monday night at Sawgrass Beach Club. We do all kinds of things this year. In fact, I'm going to stop here. I want Mary Ann. This is her signature event. Mary Ann, tell us.
You ought to see her smile, folks.
Well, let me just say, I have a very good chairperson who pours her heart and soul. Her name is Amy Mcdaniel, and Amy works extremely hard on this event and has quite a relationship with so many chefs in the beaches area who are so graciously donating their time and their food station to be a part of this event. And we call it the Ultimate Chef's Challenge. So we have over 10 restaurants participating and competing, and then the people who attend get to vote on the best chef that night as to what they serve. And we're doing flavors from around the world, so it's going to have an international flair. So we really would encourage everyone who's interested in attending. They can go to the website and get more information at beacheshabitat.org. They can call me or Curtis or any of us.
And the event again is called?
Beach Bash.
Beach Bash.
And then we do have Builders Classic, which is our golf tournament fundraiser, which we have a partnership with Oceanside Rotary, and that will be on May 4th of next year at the Jacksonville Golf and Country Club. So stay tuned for that.
All these moving parts. Yeah. All right. Well, Curtis, I appreciate the time.
Thank you.
Mary Ann, good to connect with you again. This was great. Used to see you on TV all the time. Yeah, now it's in person. And folks, once again, you can go to their website, beacheshabitat.org. Thank you for joining us today. Without you, there's no Growth and Resilience Network. Thank you for sharing our podcast with family, friends, colleagues, community leaders. You can visit my website for more information about upcoming conversations and previous programs, as well as how to get my latest book. Until we meet again, either virtually or somewhere in person around this great nation, This is Steve Piscitelli from my world headquarters here in Atlantic Beach, reminding all of us, choose well, live well, and be well. Continue to create, share, and savor powerful moments. Bye-bye, folks.